The players as of recently have been incredibly riled up in regards of War Thunder's current state, and I can't help but validate their perspective. I haven't personally been playing this game for nearly 11 years, so I feel like I might be getting the right to an opinion over this situation as well. And well, throughout the years I have witnessed this game go from decent to great and from great to mid quite a few times. There's been many community-based attempts at trying to fix the game through riots. Some justified and some unjustified, as to be honest, there's times when a group of people do in fact have what most would call a major skill issue. But now we're gonna have to try and understand whether this is one of those times. One of the many points the community brings up is in regards to the copy-pasted vehicles. And such, let's try and understand what about them is wrong and what about them is right. As of right now, one major flaw that anyone can point out is that it takes from the vehicle's value if just about any nation can have it. And yes, that is not wrong, the scarcity does in fact create value. And such, one way I would personally go on about this is disappointingly through keeping them, as we're way too deep in this for them to be changed or swapped out. Naturally, it is much easier for the developers to be simply copy-pasting a vehicle from one tech tree onto the other for the sake of expanding a nation's list of vehicles. Some people who will benefit from this decision will in fact be the ones who will feel like their country was represented, like for example the Polish Leopard in the German tech tree. But there are in fact times when it is a pure miss, like with the Dutch Leopard in the French tech tree, as most people would have much rather liked it if the tank did not leave the German tech tree's hands. And as of recently, we've had another Leopard tank shared to Japan through Indonesia. And this is not a copy-paste, it is a great new model with proper work that has went into it. However, the players still complain, so one thing that is easily noticed is that the players aren't necessarily bothered by the copy-paste as much as they're bothered by having to share. Personally, I would fix this problem through, and I know this isn't really the best way to go about it, but I would simply make it so that you'd need at least one German vehicle of, let's say, rank 4 in order to research this vehicle. Of course, if you have a better idea, feel free to brainstorm with us in the comments. However, we also have to realize that some countries did have a very rich World War II past, but a very tame modern day, so copy-pasting is kind of inevitable. Reworking some tech trees here and there in order to create some requirements is possible, but very unlikely. Yes, however, there are the premiums too, which will always be the exception, and here I have no saying, as the money will simply unlock you the vehicle entirely. The players have got nothing against the premiums because, let's be honest, they've always been a thing. But the least that they're asking for is that the premiums can at least be original to their respective tech tree. The second thing that the players are surprisingly against is the introduction of anime tanks into the game, as recently we've had a Samurai Maiden situation kind of explode. Personally, I have no problems with that, as I have never seen War Thunder as a realistic game. To me, War Thunder is a sandbox game where you simply try and match up vehicles against one another, hopefully in a fair way. One thing I'll mention is that we've had the same kind of problem a long while ago, with the addition of a furry tiger, as the people complained that the camouflage of the vehicle was not realistic at all. However, it eventually died down, so I can't help but see this situation as an exact replica of those old times. One thing we must keep in mind is that War Thunder is a game with a very varied community, so Gaijin's decision to implement anime vehicles was not there for no reason. Just like there's a great majority of people that are very passionate about realism, which in this case I can say I belong to, there is also a great majority of people who like turning their vehicles into absolute chaos. So their money goes out the window when they see that they can have a very ridiculous tank. Another thing I can now wholeheartedly understand and do deeply resonate with is the fact that this game is incredibly stagnant, as this game's shtick was simply adding new maps and new vehicles ever since the day it was made, which I do not deny, it does make sense, as it is kind of what kept the game alive all this time. However, if you're playing a game like War Thunder that is specifically designed to rob you of years of your life in order to unlock your beloved top tier, variety is the least you can ask for. Because let's be honest, it is pretty much like you're doing the exact same thing over and over, but with a different vehicle. To me, War Thunder will always be the game that could but never would, as there are endless possibilities of different gameplay varieties that this game could try. And yes, it would be mediocre of me to say that the game has not recently tried, as we've had the Bullet Hell and Nuclear Thunder events which were incredibly well received. However, why stop there? Why not expand this into tanks as well? Why not ask the community for ideas? Because sincerely, attacking the goddamn D point kind of lost its charm after 11 years. Personally, I would love it if we had an entire major update dedicated to introducing new game modes and possibly new things to do, as custom battles begin to be feeling more like fun than the actual gameplay. And yes, I know there's people out there that don't resonate with what I'm saying right now, but well, if you're gonna be playing this game for many years in a row, you'll eventually seek novelty. And moreover, I don't see any reason to not support the players asking War Thunder to bring new stuff into the game where there's underdeveloped areas, as everyone pretty much benefits from this. Now, one thing that comes from me specifically and quite a great minority of the player base is that the helicopter's game mode is incredibly mistreated. For us, if you have a guy who spawns in fire and forget missiles, you're not touching any source of research points in your local area. And other than that, the gameplay is incredibly boring, as all you do is shoot at NPCs for literally an hour. And if you're unlucky, you're gonna simply have an SPA spawn right beneath your ass. And there you go, flying for 10 minutes again. My secret hope is that eventually we'll find a way to get planes and helicopters together in the same game mode, with of course the properly adjusted battle ratings. And I know there is people out there who are against this, but again, this is just my personal preference. And there is another big elephant in the room in regards of the naval. Pun intended. The naval game mode is kind of uneventful at best. I mean, I do not deny, I can see the magic in playing ships, I can see the fun in this, I can see potential. But personally, I just cannot really appreciate the slow pace of the game. There is little to no interest into this game mode coming from the average player. Thunder. And all War Thunder does is constantly produce ships for a small amount of players without really addressing the issue. The gameplay could in fact use a small rework. The gameplay could even use attacking fortified islands for points. There is so much potential. And hopefully again, this is in fact a big stretch, but possibly having an event where you've got mixed battle with naval too could in fact act like a big advertisement for ships. Because nothing motivates a player more than being able to bonk a tank with a big chunky ship cannon. This game has been pretty much a platform with a lot of potential ever since the day it was made. And the potential is in fact achievable as this game generates a great amount of income.